That's got to be the best pirate I've ever seen.
Yo ho! Welcome to A Pirate's Life. Nobody expected Pirates of the Caribbean: Curse of the Black Pearl to be as big of a hit as it was. The film led to 4 highly successful sequels. Johnny Depp became one of the biggest stars in Hollywood playing Jack Sparrow, and revitalized the modern-day blockbuster. Today, we're setting sail and finding out what exactly went into making the Pirates of the Caribbean: Curse of the Black Pearl.
So I'd be having that dress back before you go.
The scene which finds Keira Knightley's Elizabeth Swann walking the plank took 2 days to film. Knightley recalls being terrified, but when the crew told her they could use a stunt double for when her character jumps off the plank, she responded by saying,
I was like, I've been standing up here for 2 days. Do you really think that I'm not going to jump off this thing?
Among one of the many reasons why Johnny Depp was cast in the role of Captain Jack Sparrow was that the studio felt that he already had the vibe of a modern-day pirate. In order to retain a look that was still in touch with the film's setting, the makeup artist had to get creative when covering Depp's personal tattoos. So they used soot smears and costumes to cover several of his tattoos, and would proceed to add new pirate-themed ones. Depp did keep one of his pirate tattoos, which was Jack Sparrow's own name, which Depp kept to both honor the character as well as his son, who was born the year before the release of the film.
The code is more what you'd call guidelines than actual rules. Welcome aboard the Black Pearl.
Geoffrey Rush was so committed to mastering the art of sword fighting that the crew became sick of dealing with him. Depp was also committed to the craft, and developed Jack Sparrow's flamboyant fighting style, which was inspired by the famous Muhammad Ali. His method involved keeping his arms down and letting his opponent come to him.
Bootstrap.
Several contact lenses were made to help show off Mackenzie Crook's Ragetti's wooden eye, with a hard lens used to make his eye bulge even more. Lee Arnenberg's Pintel also had contact lenses that were used to make his eyes look extremely yellow. Geoffrey Rush had contact lenses that made his eye colors less bright and more dull, so he'd appear more sickly as Barbossa. Even Johnny Depp had contact lenses that doubled as sunglasses that would help him not squint during long days of filming in the sun.
Hey, it's clean. It's not supposed to be clean.
The Curse of the Black Pearl already had quite the elaborate wardrobe and prop department. The process of casting Jack Sparrow's fellow pirate and prisoner extras was definitely a unique process. The process involved bringing in around 600 bikers and out-of-work actors into a basement at Disney and giving them real weapons to work with. After people started getting hurt, they switched to rubber ones. On top of that, there were 900 wardrobe pieces in total. The clothes from the film initially arrived clean and put together. It wasn't actually until the costume design team had to work hard to make the clothes appear far dirtier than they originally were.
The cave set is one of the largest sets built on a stage in Hollywood.
One of the film's biggest and most extravagant sets is the treasure cave in the film's third act. This set alone took well over 5 months to build, with 100 craftsmen working to make the set look as good as possible.
I almost have a dot to dot. See those dots right on the curve.
Nearly 50 makeup artists worked on the film, often teaming with some of the hairstylists. The film's makeup process of grunging up each actor was also a different process that required the team to apply the makeup and prosthetics in layers, and was stippled on each cast member with a brush instead of a sponge. There were days on set where up to 30 or 40 hairdressers would work on the film's large ensemble of principal actors as well as the extras. The hairdressers would have to work on every single cast member, from the townsfolk to the British Guard to, of course, the pirates themselves. It was like an assembly line process, with all the cast having to take a seat that was open in either the makeup corner or the hairstylist corner.
But that's a gamble of long odds, ain't it? There's never a guarantee of coming back.
Obviously, a pirate really isn't a pirate without rotting teeth. The teeth were mainly just colors, which meant that the makeup crew never had to worry about touching up or continuously checking on the actors' teeth.
I'd say the most difficult thing was just remembering all of the moves in terms of the sword fights.
No pirate movie is complete without some badass sword fights. The cast of Curse of the Black Pearl needed to learn how to sword fight in order for the fight scenes to look as stylized and authentic as possible. The cast was taught by Hollywood legend Bob Anderson. The military fort that Knightley's swan faints off of in the film was an actual practical set that was built on location in Palos Verdes, California. Though, the shot that shows her fainting and making her impact into the ocean was shot in the Caribbean, where a majority of the filming took place.
Well, thank you, Jack.
You're welcome.
Not you, we named the monkey Jack.
The scene where Joffrey Rush's Captain Barbossa reveals to Jack Sparrow that his pet monkey is also named Jack, with the monkey shooting a mawkish smile that was completely coincidental. The monkey's smile wasn't actually planned, but performed the action at just the right time to make for the memorable shot. The very first shot of the film that features a pirate ship coming out of the fog wasn't actually just one shot, like it appeared to be. In fact, the opening shot was really 5 shots stitched together to look like it was one take. On top of that, despite this being one of the very first scenes the crew shot, it wasn't finished until 2 days before the film had its world premiere at Disneyland.
Captain Jack Sparrow, if you please, sir.
Well, I don't see your ship, Captain.
While most of the film's ships were built from scratch, the HMS Interceptor wasn't. Instead, a real ship named Lady Washington was used for the boat. The crew had to repaint the entire ship, having to manually cut out ports for the cannons and even change the stern, among other things. In order to design the pirates' walking corpses, the crew used turkey jerky as an influence to design the rotting flesh. In order to make the zombie pirates distinguishable from each other, the designers decided to keep the actual eyes of each pirate extra.
That is without doubt the worst pirate I have ever seen.
The pirate genre had been dormant for many years after the swashbuckling film Cutthroat Island turned out to be a box office flop. Writers Ted Elliott and Terry Rossio had been wanting to make a pirate-themed movie with a supernatural twist since the early 90s and decided to pitch it to Disney. The Mouse House was certainly hesitant at first, but decided to make the script into an adaptation of their popular theme park ride, Pirates of the Caribbean. Steven Spielberg was at one point attached to direct the film before Gore Verbinski. A year prior to the release, another film based on a Disney theme park attraction was released, in the form of The Country Bears. The film was an unmitigated critical and financial disaster, so much so that Disney head Michael Eisner feared that the concept of a film based on a theme park ride would no longer work. Eisner tried to shut down the film, but Verbinski told his team to continue to work on the film. After Eisner was shown concept art for the film, he ultimately decided to let Verbinski move forward with the film.
You are without doubt the worst pirate I've ever heard of.
But you have heard of me.
Before Johnny Depp was cast in the iconic role of Jack Sparrow, the creative team actually had other actors in mind. The role was actually written with Hugh Jackman in mind. Matthew McConaughey, Robert De Niro, Jim Carrey, Christopher Walken, and Cary Elwes were also looked at to possibly take on the role of the famed pirate. Eisner was initially not a fan of Depp's portrayal of Jack Sparrow, and was most confused about the character's personality. Eisner was so pessimistic that he thought Depp's eccentric performance would sink the whole movie because audiences wouldn't be able to get behind the character. This prediction turned out to be far from the truth, as Depp was so universally praised for his performance that he even earned an Oscar nomination for Best Actor. Much like the casting of Jack Sparrow, there were plenty of actors in consideration for the role of Will Turner, with it finally being narrowed down between Ledger and Orlando Bloom. Ultimately, the team went with Bloom.
I saved your life, you saved mine, we're square.
Depp claims that the look, mannerisms, and partying lifestyle of Captain Jack Sparrow were inspired by Rolling Stones guitarist Keith Richards. Depp said that the main reason he chose Richards was because he saw pirates as the rock stars of their day, and felt that Richards perfectly captured that aura. Keira Knightley was coming off the indie hit Bend It Like Beckham when she did the very first Pirates movie. In fact, she was only 17 years old at the time of filming, 9 years younger than her love interest Orlando Bloom. Because of her young age, Knightley's mother had to accompany her throughout the entire shoot. Knightley even packed light, fearing that she would be fired early into the shoot.
And then got offered it, and here I am. And I kind of thought every single day that I was going to be fired.
Much of the film was shot on location in the Caribbean, which led to the cast and crew making their way to set each day by boat. After one night of shooting on one of the main islands, a boat that was carrying Keira Knightley and her mother hit a reef and sank. While no one on board was injured, the mother and daughter were stuck waiting for several hours before they were eventually rescued. From then on, night shoots were instead filmed indoors in a studio.
Perhaps you'll be able to conjure up another miraculous escape.
Pirates of the Caribbean: Curse of the Black Pearl was a big risk by Disney that paid off in the best way, launching one of the biggest franchises in Hollywood history. What was your favorite moment from Curse of the Black Pearl?